Hey, it's Orit Krug here, and I am coming out today about my personal story with suicide. And I have no idea what I'm going to say. I have no idea what I'm going to share. I've been feeling called in the last few days to share this with you. I recently saw a video that a coach made that was like really inspirational about what story aren't you sharing? What story will really inspire people to, to feel and to, to inspire. And, I was like, this personal history with suicide just kept rolling around in my head and in my body. And the awesome thing is that I've seen a bunch of people in her tribe start to come out more about their story and be more vulnerable. And I hope that, this video, whatever I end up saying, inspires you to stick it out and keep going and realize that at those low lows that we want to quit or that things seem hopeless, that it's actually worth it. To get through it. It's actually a really good sign of some really great things to come. And that maybe if you're in the position to do so, you'll share your own story, and that it'll be this amazing ripple effect of like just vulnerability and us all being real with each other. So yeah, I was thinking about this, and I'm not even sure I've ever shared this with my husband. I don't know if he knows that I was suicidal once. It happened, the actual attempts, actually attempting suicide happened a long time ago, but I'd be lying if I said that, sometimes things get really hard, and I'd be lying if I said that the fantasy of like quitting it all and ending it all wasn't attractive. I haven't actually been suicidal in a long time, but I think that those thoughts that will pop in very occasionally will probably always be a part of my life when things get really hard. So if you've been following me for a while, you know that I've talked a lot about my experience as a therapist in different psychiatric facilities where people have thought about suicide, have actually attempted suicide, and have actually succeeded suicide. But I've never shown this side of my story where I'm like, hey, while I was working at these places, sometimes I'd work with a patient and be like, what's the difference between you and me? Like, I totally know how you feel. The difference is, for me, the intense feelings of wanting to end my life was a really long time ago. And for them, it was very, very intense at the moment that I was working with them. So I was in a place where I could really relate and help them through. So this is a little shade of the story that I've never shared. And I feel like it's so important to share it because I work with many women. I encourage many women, even before we work together, that don't quit your relationship, don't quit your marriage, prematurely. Things can be fixed. And I know how it feels to feel so low and so hopeless that the only way that feels possible is ending everything. And I know how painful that is. And that it feels like, oh, if I just end the situation, I'll get the relief. And this is why I'm going to share this today, because that if that's the only way out for you and you haven't tried everything, that feeling of wanting to quit, of wanting to end everything will still stick with you no matter where you go. So I have shared my story about being abused growing up from a very young age to the year that I left my house. And I was very alone in that. Nobody believed me. And as a result, I downplayed my own trauma, and I was like, this is not abuse. This isn't trauma. This is just, I don't know, this is just what I deserve. And in that, I felt very alone. I felt very isolated, and I had so much shame that I was holding on into my body. And by the time I was 15, this shame was manifesting in the most, for me as a teenager, embarrassing way. Meaning so I wanted this attention, I wanted to be seen, I wanted to be validated, but if I was noticed, my whole face and chest would turn bright red, like unbelievably red. And that was the most embarrassing thing. I got made fun of, I got stared at. I was in a state of panic whenever that happened. I had dreams about that happening in the worst situations. It was just like my shame was coming out and I had no control over it. And it was the worst thing because I felt really different. And like, I just felt so embarrassed. And it was like a spiral for me. So the more I feared it, the more it happened, the more I just wanted to avoid everything, all social situations. And the only way, this fear and this shame took up so much in my body and my experience, the only way I felt like I could get out of that was to end my life. Now I would say that the attempts that I made were not, in somewhere deep inside I knew they wouldn't actually work, which is great. I didn't have the full commitment, which sitting here today, I'm so grateful for that. But I tried a few different things, a few different self-harming things, a few different things that, for me, and, looking back on this, who I am today, and also working with so many people who've been in this place, I was just crying out for help. I had told the closest people around me, my family, that I was getting abused and no one believed me. And I needed to cry out for help in some other way. And I believe that after a few attempts, I told my mom, and she's like, wow, we need to go get you help. Like, we need to go get you into therapy. And we did that. And she was super supportive about that. And honestly, I quit therapy after. It was just so hard for me. It was, that experience was so confronting. I think I quit after 4 sessions. And I was like, I'm fine. Of course, I wasn't fine, and I just kind of suppressed that for another 8 years or so until I got back into therapy in my early 20s. But I can't believe that I'm here talking about this today, and I'm feeling a little nervous about it, but it's fine. I would never have imagined in a million years putting myself back into my 14, 15-year-old body. Even I would have never been able to talk about this because I was so afraid of my shame coming through. I was so afraid of it that I wouldn't tell anyone. I wouldn't talk to anyone about it. And I can't believe I'm sitting here today talking about it and feeling like, yeah, this is fine. It's such a thing of the past. And again, I have other things going on in my life from time to time where, again, I'd be lying if I said I didn't think about ooh, it'd be great if I could just run away and this problem wouldn't be here forever. That's the thing, right? If we run away or if we try to end it all, sure, if we successfully ended our lives, the problems would end, right? But if we ran away, or if we were this relationship is getting too hard, I'm going to, like, I've got to end it. The problem is still within you. If you were like me, and the problem is that you have unresolved trauma in your body, it's still going to be all up in your body, and it's going to find a way to come out. For me, it was this embarrassing redness and, you know, the shame just being so obvious, being shown to everyone and getting made fun of and all these other things that spiraled out of control from it. For other people, it's medical illness that it comes out in that way. Our bodies will do whatever it takes to tell us to deal with what is still in there. And for that reason, it's important to not want to, I mean, we can want what we want, right? We have our desires and that impulse to leave. But it's important to recognize that that's a survival strategy. And I've worked with many women who are like, I'm at this turning point and I want to leave my relationship, but, you know, like, I think our marriage is done. I want to leave. I'm ready to divorce him. And I'm like, well, when we really dig in, it's like, yeah, I've done that before and it hasn't solved the way I'm feeling now. I feel the same exact way, different relationship, different nuances in the feelings, but I feel the same way in wanting to escape. And that's why I preach what I do, is like, again, I know what it feels like to feel so hopeless and lost and isolated and like nothing else is going to work besides ending everything. I know the pain of that. And I'm so sorry if you've experienced it or if you're experiencing it now, but it will not take that feeling away if you're ending your relationship, if you're ending things before you've really tried to heal what's inside of you. And heal that trauma that maybe for you too, nobody recognized, nobody acknowledged, that you had to deal with on your own, that you had to deal with all the pain and carry all the burden on your own. That contributes to a feeling today of like, no one will get me. I got to go and do this on my own. I got to go and file those divorce papers. Screw love. It doesn't matter. I'm just better on my own, right? Because that trauma is just going to show up all the time. So it's worth sticking it out, but it's not just worth, I had some notes here that I was like, what did I really want to say? Like in terms of like lessons. Those times where we feel the most like heavy and lost and like there's nothing we can do. I just want to end it all. Those are the times that I actually moved on this morning, because I was like, I really want to get into my body on this. I moved it this morning, and I'm going to post this video later, but I was so lost in my movement and moving around in different directions. And then I ended up on this wall and I just melted down to the floor, and I ended up seeing my hands, my precious hands and my fingers, each finger, and just appreciating the preciousness of me and realizing, wow, this whole encounter with suicide, all these moments where I feel so low, where I like have that split moment of being like, maybe I should end it all. I'm against myself. I'm my enemy. But when I actually tune in and appreciate myself and feel into the preciousness of myself, that's a totally different feeling. And so I ended up saying, I'm on your side, Orit. I am on your side. And that's what it takes for us to be in harmony and coherence with our bodies and with our partners. Because if it's about quitting your relationship, our partners become the enemy. And it's like, we can't do this. I need to leave you. We're not okay. I'm better off without you. You're better off without me. But if you did this dance that I had with myself, with yourself, and even with your partner, if that's a possibility, I don't recommend doing that on your own. This needs, expert support and guidance. Then you might have the same realization that, oh, wow, we've been enemies this whole time, and I've just been wanting to leave and quit this because I haven't been tuned into the preciousness of our relationship and us and all of that. And so there's that. And then the times where you feel the most low is a time where, like, instead of getting really wrapped up in that, you need to tune in and have a different perspective and realize we're feeling the most low because we're about to get through something really huge. And I know it feels like the only option at those moments are to leave or to quit or to just escape. And that's a flight response getting activated there, which is interesting because a flight response is a survival response. So sometimes we feel like we have to end our lives to survive, or we have to end this relationship to survive, right? And I know it feels like it's the only way that things are going to work out, but there are much better ways to survive and to thrive. And it's just about rewiring that flight response. And the thing that's driving that flight response is the trauma that needs to be dealt with. So it's worth, like, again, the pride that I feel talking about this here today, the relationship that I have with my husband, the fact that I'm here and my business is going live about this, and this is what brings me the clients that I absolutely love and am ecstatic about working with. I would have never imagined that for myself in a million years. Imagine if I ended my life, I would have never seen that this could actually happen. And that's exactly what happens with the women that I work with who are ready to be done. And then we do the work, they release their trauma, they rewire their nervous system, and they come into harmony and listen and understand with their partners instead of defending and attacking and wanting to escape. And they're like, wow, so glad I did this. This is better than I could have imagined. Like, I could have been facing divorce lawyers and costs and moving house and taking my kids with me and back and forth, right? I could be doing all of that, but I'm so glad I stuck it out and I did this work. And I know it seems like it might be really hard to deal with the trauma from so long ago, but it doesn't have to be that hard, first of all. The way that we do things through dance and movement and through this gentle, safe container and holding, it's not that hard. It's a little uncomfortable, but it's enjoyable. I know that seems hard, but isn't it worth trying that before quitting everything? That's a question that I will leave you with. I certainly share from my own experience and from my clients' experiences that yes, it's totally worth it. Totally, totally worth it to finally get that love that maybe you felt like you never deserved. I never felt like I deserved or that I would fall in love or that I would have this relationship that I have with my husband, even when we were first dating. But it can happen, and it can happen for you, because chances are if you're watching this, you're a human being. And if you're a human being, you have a nervous system. And if you have a nervous system, you have all that wiring in your brain and your body that can be rewired, and you can build new neural pathways to be responding in love and connection instead of fear and hurt and flight, 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 gotta leave, gotta escape, gotta end this, right? And just making yourself your ally and your best friend, and realizing the preciousness of you. Those words inspired by my wonderful friend, Carolyn Southwell. And realizing that you can have it all and you don't have to end it. As painful as it feels right now, I know you will get through if you just take that step towards healing your trauma. Don't let whoever hurt you, win. Because if you're still holding on to that old trauma and you go through the separation and you, hopefully not, this is not who I actually regularly talk to. I don't intend on talking to any clients who are currently suicidal. But if that's something that you've considered, or your whole family gets broken up, we're letting that person or those people who abused us or who hurt us win. So let's take our power back, get through this, and realize that we have another option. Option A is ending it all. Option B is getting through it and becoming happier and more in love than you could imagine was possible. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you want to have a further conversation about what you can do specifically, because all of our bodies are different, all of our traumas are different, and our unique stories are different, we can have a chat about what steps you need to take in order to heal your trauma, rewire your nervous system, and save your relationship, and save yourself and your family and your partner from all that emotional and financial devastation of separation and divorce. So, send me a message, or depending on where you're watching, click on the link to the side above or below, and we can have a free chat. Or if you'd rather just kind of get started on your own pace, I really encourage you to sign up for my free Wired for Love training. I'll put that link here as well. And start understanding what you need to do in order to make this happen for you. All right, so I will put that link up. It's wiredforlovetherapy.com, but I'll also have it here just so you can sign up and get started ASAP. Yes, moving through. All right, thanks so much for joining me, for listening to my story. And until next time, I will see you online. And remember, it is your time to be able to let in love. Thanks so much. Bye.